I was just going to cover three areas very quickly. One of them is that we, like the rest of the federal government that's subject to the annual appropriation process, are operating under a continuing resolution. The continuing resolution runs from October 1st through December 11th. So that's an improvement over some years where we used to get 1 and 2 week continuing resolutions, so at least there was certainty before they left for the recess that we have funding through the December 11th period. I'll talk in a minute about what those funding levels are, and I'll talk very briefly about the 2015 appropriation status and the 2016 President's budget. So go ahead. There's a very detailed chart here that I will not try to go through, but we have handouts that we can leave with you today. And for people who go back online in the future, this will be available online to go back through the archives. And I'll just go to the last slide. Okay, this slide provides a snapshot from a reclamation-wide standpoint of what our funding levels were for the 2014 enacted appropriations, the 2015 President's budget, which is shown there as the request, the 2015 House action, and the 2015 Senate action. So real briefly, the continuing resolution that we're operating under is the 2014 enacted level minus about 1/20th of 1%. So it's 99.95% basically of that 2014 enacted level. And that is done at the account level. When you get to the individual programs, projects, and activities, that does not necessarily hold. We're supposed to do the minimum amount of spending under the continuing resolution until Congress takes final action on the 2015 appropriation bill, and at that time we would have the full details of what will be funded at the individual program, project, and activity level. When Congress returns, all 12 annual appropriation bills are still pending. For the energy and water bill, the House passed the energy and water bill this summer, so they have come up with their version of the bill. The Senate released what they call a draft bill and report, so they did not actually take a vote on it in the subcommittee, nor did it go through full committee, or has it gone to the Senate floor. So at least puts down a marker as to what the thinking process is from the subcommittee, but it's not, does not have the same standing at this point as the House passed bill. If you look at the difference between the House and the Senate, there's a very substantial difference. You've got the roughly $1 billion in the House. It's about $90 million below the 2014 enacted, slightly below the 2014 or 2015 President's request. And the Senate is a dramatic increase over even the 2014 enacted level. So if they go through a traditional process in conference a bill, and the House and Senate staff get together, make recommendations to the members, then the members get together and do a full conference, they will work out presumably the difference between that House version and the Senate version. The other thing that we've seen occur 3 times in the last decade is they're unable to agree on final funding levels and the details that appear in a conference report that accompanies an appropriation act. And in that case, they do a full year continuing resolution. So what we've seen in the other previous occasions of this is they would work off that 2014 enacted level, maybe with some minor adjustment like they did for the continuing resolution. And if that's the case, it doesn't come with the full detailed description from Congress as to how funding is allocated by program, project, activity. So in that case, the administration is required to send up a spending plan for each of the individual agencies that are in the continuing resolution. So we're not sure which outcome we'll see. They will have to do something by December 11th, because that's when the current continuing resolution runs out. And hopefully they'll come to an agreement and pass a regular appropriation bill with the full details. If not, we may be doing that spending plan for a full year continuing resolution. The other thing is that we're in this non-earmark environment where Congress cannot designate additional funding separate and apart from the President's budget by projects for specific beneficiaries. So what we've seen in the Senate bill, and it's similar to what we've had the last couple of years, is that the Senate will add money in categories. So one of them that is unique to New Mexico and the upper Great Plains states is a rural water program where there's authorized rural water projects. And Congress has been able to designate this year in both the House and the Senate versions additional money for those rural water projects, and then it would be up to the administration using criteria to do the allocations. There are other categories that have been added by the Senate that are not in the House version of the bill. There's one for fish screens and fish passage. There's one for facility operation maintenance and replacements. There's one for environmental restoration and Endangered Species Act. And there are a couple of other ones. So there's about 6 or 7 categories where they've done that. Also, the Senate added significant money for the Water Smart program, which is a competitive program that Reclamation's used in recent years to achieve water savings on a bureau-wide basis. And the Senate added quite a bit of money to the Water Smart Grants program, which is the one that Gray mentioned, for at least for 15. We'll be doing a request for proposals or a funding opportunity announcement in the near future. So finally, I'll just mention on 2016, our 2016 budget is still under development within the administration. The current schedule would be for it to be released on the first Monday in February, which would be early next year. Recent experience tells us that if the release date may depend on the congressional action on the 2015 appropriation bill and Congress finalizing that and sending it to the President for signature. The administration has generally wanted to wait in recent years until the prior year appropriation bill is enacted before they make final decisions on the budget, in this case the 2016 budget. So a couple of unknowns on dates, but currently we would expect Congress will hopefully complete action on 2015 when they return in November and before the December 11th date, and then hopefully we'll have a President's budget on early February. Thank you.